Let's check it. Fountainhead was a finalist in the recent map competition, but it's not actually part of competitive play yet. It's supposed to be a honkin' big macro map, but with a surprisingly short rush distance. Oh, Zest is gonna try to hatch block. The problem with that short rush distance, though, is you gotta go through what I call blind boxes. The sight lines are just awful. You go inside that square, you see nothing. So unless you enjoy getting ambushed, you're probably gonna take a much longer way around. It's different, and we badly need to get our maps refreshed at this point, so I'm willing to give it a try. Oh, Rogue has his 300. He's getting his hatch down. It's a failed hatch block. Wah wah. Oh, poor Zest. He's just not used to this map. Whatever the rush distance is, it's not as short as he thought it was. Another feature of this map is that there's destructible debris on the high ground in the center. I gotta be honest, I don't quite get how that works yet. I don't quite see how... Oh! Zest going for the fake cannon rush. We see that Zest hasn't built a forge, but Rogue does not know that. But maybe he suspects, because he is barely reacting to this. He only pulls off a single extra drone. We assume that Zest is going to cancel that pylon. Yes, he does at the last moment. Zest's investment doesn't pay off, but it wasn't a huge one. Our Zerg player is a Marvel supervillain that later joined the X-Men and became a hero. He is Rogue!
Current world rank 12.
Our Protoss player is a piece of the peel of a citrus fruit, used as flavoring. He is Zest!
Current world rank 8.
Extractor pool for Zerg, Nexus before Core for Protoss. So while neither player has had too much opportunity to practice on these maps as of yet, they're still motivated. This is a $4,000 tournament. Thank you to Shopify for funding and Wardy for hosting. Zest's opening tech selection is going to be Stargate. Rogue starting up Ling speed. Okay, Lings are out, and look at this. They're chasing down the probe, but they're going to have no idea if there's an adept waiting for them or not. Oh yeah, Rogue pulls right back, right away. And the truth is, the adept's not even made yet. It's almost done. Warp gate research has been delayed a little bit to get that Stargate out quicker. And as is so prevalent these days, Zerg is showing no sign of any tech, just focusing on building that economy, starts up that third base. Zest is actually keeping his adept at home. He doesn't have his wall off yet. Protoss has to learn the proper places to seal off their bases. And it's going to be a void ray to open things up. Hard to know if it actually factored into his thinking at all, but it seems like a great choice for me for a large, confusing map. There's going to be a second adept for Protoss. Not much of an army yet for either player. Both of our players getting into the spirit of this macro map. A big wave of 6 drones for Rogue, and his Overlord's going to get his first look at the Protoss base. It'll be a short glance though with that void ray popping out. But perhaps that tells him all he really needs to know. First blood goes to Zest. That's actually going to briefly supply block the Zerg too. And from there, Zest is going to set up his third. It's a high ground base that's at least average defensibility. It seems to be safer than a lot of the maps we see these days. I think that's going to engender this map to showcase longer games. Well, what do I know? I'm experiencing this map for the first time right along with you guys. Okay, an Oracle follows the Void Ray. And it looks like Zest is going for the old left wing, right wing. The Void Ray is positioning to hit the third while the Oracle is rallying right for the natural. Rogue's only got 4 queens at the moment. And he's got a lot of ground to protect. He's making a spore, he's adding 2 more queens. Just a spore at that natural. Oh, Zest is going to opt for a stasis ward. The spore has a range of 7. The stasis ward has a range of 6. But by positioning it a few matrices back, Zest's able to pull that off without getting hit. Protoss gets a dozen drones, and that's some significant mining time. Oh, second Stargate, people. And it's going to be backed by a +1 air attack upgrade. Zest is signaling a commitment here. Rogue starts his lair. Unbeknownst to him, what he really wants is to be cranking out the queens. Methinks he's gonna be needing them. I mean, you can never go wrong with a roach warren that Rogue just put down. You're always gonna have a use for Roach Ravager, but roaches do not shoot up. Yeah, it's looking like double Void Ray production. And as we frequently see, the Protoss will have a very nice transition into carriers. The Oracle comes home and the harass phase of the game might be over already. Rogue's got his Lings positioned to see what comes out of the Protoss base, but what he really needs is to be able to see inside it. Lair's gonna finish and we'll get some insight as to what Rogue might be thinking. He's laboring under minimal information. What he does have is unrestrained creep spread, which is useful on such a large map. Oh, and there it is, a third Stargate with a fleet beacon. This is full-on sky toss, people. Zest only has 2 warp gates. Rogue really needs to know about this. He needs Hydras or Corruptors. I don't think he can do this on Queens alone. Okay, Rogue's ahead of me. He's getting Overlord speed so he can get that scout off. He's also getting Roach speed, which probably won't be as useful as he was hoping. That Overseer has begun morphing. I mean, Rogue does have a very solid economy. He should be able to pivot. He's just put down his 4th hatch. What surprises me is that Zest is actually matching him. Evolution Chamber is scheduled to finish just before the Forge, both players opting for single upgrades. Except for the fact that Zest has already done +1 air. And Zest is going for the Flux Veins upgrade. So much for the carriers that I was thinking of. He's just gonna commit full on to Void Rays here. It's only about a 20% increase, but it also really kicks up the acceleration. It almost, but not quite, cancels out the speed reduction that the Void Ray suffers when you turn on prismatic alignment. Okay, here comes that much needed scout, Overseer to the rescue. Zest had a Void Ray trying to guard the side, but he missed it. Rogue sees it all. He immediately puts down a Spire, and he's pretty much building a Queen out of every hatch available. This is a 5-alarm fire, people. There's that Spire, but it's so tiny it has a 71-second build time. There's also an infestation pit on the way. That is good. I think Rogue's gonna want to have Vipers. Oh, the Overseer actually got out. Zest finishes his 4th. He adds in 2 more gates at that location, and I love how he locks in that cannon. Oh, +2 air attack underway. It's been a pretty passive game for Zest so far, but he's got a big punch coming. He's swinging his Void Rays left. Does he know about the Lings that Rogue is hiding? No, he doesn't. Rogue's gonna get those in. There's only that cannon at the 4th. Rogue's about to show us how good that Sim City really is. He swings south to avoid the cannon, and he's gonna stop a second one from warping in. Zest has to warp in a couple of Zealots to save his base, but with the cannons backing him up, he is gonna save his base, clean this up without losing a probe. Meanwhile, the +1 with Flux Veins is revealed. The Spire completes and Rogue makes 20, yes, 20 Corruptors. But he needs them now. Those Queens are outgunned something fierce. How are those Void Rays not smashing into each other? Once again, the laws of Starcraft physics to the rescue. It's going to be 23 Corruptors, but I don't know if he's going to be able to save the natural. Zest turns on the prismatic alignment. That gives him +6 damage. This is armored. The tackles are definitely armored. The Corruptors are here, but it's going to be a recall. Definitely one of the coolest graphics in the game. And there is a carrier switch after all. At this point though, I'm not even sure that Zest actually needs one. Because on a dollar per dollar basis, Void Rays are actually better than carriers against Corruptors. Though with the DPS and range of that carrier, it's kind of good against everything else. Rogue starts +1 air attack, but what he doesn't know is that Zest has just started +3 air attack. If Rogue wants to win in the air, he's really gonna have to mass up. And he is trying. He hasn't stopped building Corruptors. I'd love to see Zest start mixing in Stalker. They can really punish Corruptors, and Rogue really doesn't have anything to deal with them right now. Rogue is taking his 5th though. He's gonna get himself ahead on bases. Dude, somebody get these triangles off of our heads. Glowing geometrical shapes is not a fashion trend for headgear. Big time clash, both players dropping hugely in supply, but Rogue taking the worst of it. I don't know that Rogue can take on the Sky Toss directly. He needs something like Abducts or Parasitic Bombs. Maybe even Fungals, but that could be because I'm watching too many Bly games. Wow, this is the most pure air game I've seen in a long time. Rogue has nothing but Corruptors and Queens. The only ground unit Zest has? 2 Zealots and 2 Adepts. And he's probably long forgotten where his Adepts even are. Rogue's creep spread has been nothing short of amazing. He's actually got it well past the halfway mark on this huge map. The problem is, I don't think Zest really cares. He's putting down a battle duck. That is bad news for Zerg. With the Templar Archive, he can research Storm or he can start making Archons. Rogue's making a Hydra Den. I think he feels that these Corruptors are not working for him. But the problem is the Hydras aren't going to do much for him if Storm comes along. But no, the Templar Archive finishes, and it is Archons. It's another form of splash that can shoot up, and the Corruptors can't do anything to return the attack. And I worry that Rogue's Lings are just going to melt to that. Corruptors dive in, he's going to see the Archons. That's just too much DPS in one location. He's going to see that and realize he has to get out of there. Actually, he's going to see that and realize he has to get out of the game. So, looking back at this, one of the most important moments in this game was not something that happened, but something that didn't happen. And this thing that didn't happen, it took place at the back of the map, far away from the action in the Zerg main. Rogue never evolved his lair into a hive. And that is why we never saw a Viper. That's why there were no abducts to thin out the Protoss airball, no long-range parasitic bombs. The critical moment in this game is when Rogue scouts the triple Stargate with Fleet Beacon. Rogue decides to go for Corruptors, a choice I quite like. But then, when he sees it's not working, rather than bolster it, he tries to invest in a tech switch into Hydras. Hindsight is 20/20, of course, but if he wanted Hydras, ideally he should have gone for them right away, because you need both Hydra speed and Hydra range before the Hydras really have a chance against that many Void Rays. Personally, I'm a bit nervous of going for Hydra against this type of play right now, as they seem to be getting wrecked once Protoss adds in Templar with Research Storm. But I agree that without Vipers, I'm not sure Armored Corruptors can cut it against that many Void Rays with Prismatic alignment, especially with a numeric upgrade disadvantage as there was in this case. Lastly, I know it's madness, but I'm going to keep saying it until it happens. One thing that should in theory work that we never see is for Zerg to go back to Hydras, but add in Infestors with Microbial Shroud. That's supposed to be really solid. And as long as I'm saying controversial stuff, let me also point out that Zest is currently ranked higher than Trap on Aligulac. It's practically even. Trap is 9, Zest is 8. But technically, that makes Zest the #1 rated Protoss in the world right now. Zest just won another weekly cup, which probably put him over. And then, just to prove that I have no idea what I'm talking about, Zest is not even in the DreamHack Fall final group stage. But that doesn't detract from a solid win tonight by Zest. Hope you enjoyed it. It played out a little differently than the typical game, and I always like that. So from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your Starcraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your Starcraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang Starcraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.